All right, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Carilion Clinic's Pediatric Grand Round. Thank you for joining us today, online and in person. Today we have the Department of Adolescent Medicine presenting, Dr. Jeri Lantz, Macon Hogan, and Brooks Michael. Dr. Lantz is a University of Iowa College of Medicine graduate and did her internal medicine and pediatric training at Wayne State University in Detroit. Prior to coming to Carilion, she directed the Detroit City Adolescent Health Clinic and had clinical activities in the Detroit public school system, juvenile justice system, and ran an adolescent gym clinic at Michigan State. Since she has been with Carilion since 2001, and she's the Associate Professor of Pediatrics and Internal Medicine and the Section Chief for Adolescent and Young Adult Medicine. Macon Hogan is a nurse practitioner who began her advanced practice career in November 2021 after serving 14 years as a registered nurse. Her professional focus is on adolescent medicine, where she is skilled at integrating evidence-based medicine with a keen sense of empathy and a healthy dose of sarcasm. Brooks Michael is the Adolescent Health Educator for Carilion Clinic and has been in this role for the last 21 years. She works with the schools, parents, teens, and the community at large in a variety of settings, such as after-school programs, classroom presentations, and health fairs. She serves on 6 youth-focused community coalitions and boards that focus on the healthy development of youth. Please join me in welcoming this dynamic trio.
All right, thanks for joining us bright and early. None of us have any financial disclosures. I do need to disclose that I, other than an occasional YouTube video, am not a social media user. And I have to give a big shout out because I have learned all kinds of scary things from my cybersecurity terrorist tracking special ops nephew in the last couple of weeks, who has deemed me a technological neonate, I believe is what he called me the other day. So I have officially moved from cool Aunt Jeri into and then I think I was called a techno caterpillar as well. So I have to shout out to Andrew, who taught me one of the things that stands out that Andrew has told me for years, is that if something seems free on the internet, you are actually the product. So he says, keep that in mind. If you are not paying for something, they are using you. So I don't want to scare anybody. I'm just hoping that we can all be a little bit better informed. And Macon and Brooks are actually much more adept at personal social media content, but we'll dive in here. And I'll show you at least what my caterpillar self has learned. We thought we would start with this little public service announcement.
Hey kiddo, it's about time for bed, okay?
Okay.
Well, remember, there's a box in the corner over there with all the pornographic material that's ever been made in the world, even the really weird stuff that could scar you for life. I'm trusting you not to look in there, okay?
Okay.
Feelings are for losers.
Oh, and this guy's gonna be in your corner all night just randomly spewing out hateful things. Just ignore him, okay? While I'm thinking of it, there's an order form on your desk where you can purchase illegal drugs. The mean girls from your school are gonna be standing there talking about you all night. And this Russian hacker's gonna keep asking for your password.
I'm not a hacker. Amazon customer service.
Just need you to ignore him, okay?
Love you, buddy. We ask too much of our kids when we give them a smartphone. Let's change the norm. Together.
Maybe we go around the room and share social security numbers.
Join the movement at smartphonefreechildhoodus.com.
Yeah. I'll get it anyway.
That is kind of what it's like, I think, in the bedrooms at night when they close the door and they are scrolling around. So here's our objective today. We're going to review some of the current data about the influences of social media on teenagers and young adults. We're going to, Macon is going to help us look at some of the online platforms and their capabilities, the benefits and risks. And then Brooks is going to help us discuss some strategies for increasing parental awareness and monitoring and discussion in the household. All right, so here's some things that teenagers are saying. Every couple of years, the Pew Research Center puts out a big update on what's happening in social media. And as of 2024, 46% of teenagers are saying they're on the internet and social media almost constantly when it's allowed. And that's up from 24% in 2022. So we're increasingly becoming a connected social media nation. 18% of teenagers that are 13 to 17-year-olds said it would be very hard to give up social media, and if that's imposed on them as a punishment, if they have to give up their phone or take a break, that is really hard for them. Even if they're not on an active social media platform, 80% of our young people have access to gaming consoles with internet communication with others. So keep that in mind, that even though they may not be on the other traditional platforms, there's certainly ways that they might be connecting with other folks outside of the household. So what are their motives for use? Well, a lot of it is for connection. You know, they're teenagers, they're forming that frontal lobe slowly, and they're looking for, to be called normal in any way that they can be, considered normal. And unlike my antiquated generation where I grew up like with connection in social clubs or athletics and stuff like that, some of our young people have been spent a lot of time in their houses now, and they're trying to connect with other peers. They're looking for entertainment. You know, boredom happens and scrolling is easy. Sometimes they're getting on the internet for looking, for inspiration. Maybe they want to help cook dinner that night and they start off by looking at recipes or something like that, or they're trying to come up with a new dance move or some choreography. So something they're trying to be inspired for good. And they might be, looking for inspiration for education or a school purpose. They're looking for something, they get told they have to do an essay on something and they need to, find some, great topic, and they start to scroll. And some of the reasons that they might get on a particular platform is, friend communication and things like Snapchat, TikTok, if they want to just be entertained and not really think. They might use the WhatsApp app to find their friends or for functional communication. Telegram is kind of an interesting platform that a lot of teenagers think is anonymous, not so much, but they believe it is. And so if they want to communicate with others in what they think is an anonymous way, Telegram is one that's kind of sneaking up on the teenage radar. And then surprisingly, AI, while we think of it, it may be for us like open evidence, or if we're looking at Chat GPT or something like that, AI is kind of a sneaky way that teenagers, unfortunately, are also kind of getting wrapped in information that may be helpful or not so helpful. Keeping in mind that even medical AI questions asked are only about 70% accurate. So some might, glass half full, might say 70% is pretty good, but the 30% of even medical questions they might be asking on AI, might be complete nonsense. So keep that in mind. The reality is that most teenagers, by the time they are age 17 in the US, have over 72 million data points collected on them. So that is like just a sea of information for bad people to use if they want to profile our young people. So it's kind of a scary sort of pattern for all of us, but by age 17 is a huge deal. So I refrained from putting any brain pictures in here. Shout out to Dr. Wilson, who used to laugh at my brain pictures. But remember that dopamine rewards you, serotonin makes you feel good, and oxytocin bonds and connects you. And so these are all things that social media, the algorithms, the AI, they all know this, and this is the things that they are trying, to get us all involved with. So the longer term influences, we don't know a lot, but we do know that sleep is suffering. The algorithms lead to kind of endless scrolling. So we have lots of teenagers that we see every day who are scrolling all night. They just are kind of clicking on the next thing and clicking on the next thing. And, in addition to the blue light that they're getting from the screens, they're also just continuing to spend amazing amounts of hours with all kinds of input to their brain. There's some negative impacts of body positivity, certainly that come from social media use, and you can make yourself look great in all kinds of social media, but it's not necessarily a norm of how those folks actually look in person. It can generate a feeling of negative self-esteem. And we all know that school performance suffers, which is why there's been some limitations on having smartphones in the classrooms now, because kids are growing up now able to kind of, or they think they can multitask well between screen activity and what's going on in reality around them, but it turns out probably not so much. And AI, I don't know, will yet to be determined. We'll know more maybe in the next couple of years. And are there connections, actually good connections that they're making online, or are they questionable connections? Because, the internet is fraught with folks that are trying to profile our young people and targeting in using all those different receptors, to make them feel the connection. All right, wanted to just spend a couple minutes on the things that I've learned about gaming, because I'm not a gamer, but I talk to lots of teenagers about gaming, and I find it fascinating, some of the stuff. So this is just a miniature list of some of the gaming platforms that teenagers use, but there are many. So I would encourage you to kind of look and see what's out there. I know that some of you guys have young people in your house, or perhaps you, who are gaming on a regular basis, but I'm going to encourage you now to look back at some of the platforms to see how easy it is to get yourself in a bad situation on even the most innocent of looking games. So kind of one of the common ones that we hear a lot about is Fortnite, where they play the Battle Royale. And so it has a feature where you can disable the voice chat, or it's supposed to be. If you say that you're 16 or under, the voice chat is supposed to be disabled. And there are people of all ages and all walks of life on this game. And it is very easy. My nephew just showed me the other day how easily he could go from being a 14-year-old to being a 21-year-old behind his, if he was a kid, behind his parents' back. You could change the login. And you can suddenly open yourself up to a whole different world. Minecraft also looks like kind of a happy little thing. You're building some stuff, and it's safer if you're in the peaceful mode. But if you're in the adventure mode, it has anyone is in the adventure mode. And so again, if parents are not careful, their kids could be communicating with folks from all walks of life. Again, Roblox is another one. Looks kind of cool. You can create games, you play games with others, there's no minimum age, there's all kinds of hate speech and sexually explicit speech and situations, because if you happen to get on a game that has been created by, an adult, it may or may not be appropriate for, the 12 or 13-year-old who's on. Here are just a couple others. I'm not going to go through them, but I just want you to recognize that there's a whole bunch that are first-person shooters. And which adds to, kind of a numbing effect, for our young people that normalizes violence in a way. And so we don't know how the effects of that is going to be, of the, 30 and 40-year-olds of tomorrow when they are exposed to all of this stuff. So please encourage your parents to really take a look at those controls and look at them often, because kids get smart on this stuff, and they get smarter than the parents within, like 2 uses. So, it's something that we need to be telling parents to re-review the parental controls, and not just be sure that what we put up as roadblocks, for them, oh, no pun intended with the game, but, actually stuck and lasted, because a lot of kids are outsmarting the game. Some kids know how to outsmart the game and increase the coins and the tokens that they play with, so that they can have more unlimited use. And there are a lot of smart kids out there, and so we need to kind of harness their superpowers, hopefully in a little different direction. So beware of the algorithm generations. They're becoming quite advanced. They're targeting young people. They use these rankings, and then they make those happy little for you suggestions. It's why, your Amazon cart comes up with stuff that you've purchased before. It's why your YouTube videos recognize where you've been, and they give you the next couple of things. And that's happening, to all of us. So for teenagers in particular, they may not know the pitfalls of putting in any piece of personal information. Every data point, piece of personal information, location, computer used with that IP address, your clicks, your purchases, your views, those can all be collected. And then my nephew was giving me a little flashback to linear algebra, how you use that as a vector, and then it goes into the algorithm profile. And so all of those things, can be utilized, maybe not so much for good, for profiling and stalking the appropriate teenager in the right direction. Even Peppa Pig has been infiltrated. So we need to be encouraging our parents to actually kind of watch even the YouTube and the seemingly simple things, that our kids are watching. So this came from a neighbor of mine who said that she parked her kids in front of Peppa Pig on YouTube, which she thought was a Peppa Pig video, and then in the middle of it, from the living room, she heard all of this fascinating, explicit language coming out of Peppa Pig's mouth. So just saying that it's also not so hard to infiltrate even things that seem like they might be pretty benign. Now, sadly, AI has become also kind of scary. This is a recent case of a 13-year-old Juliana Peralta in Colorado who committed suicide after she kind of became a little bit more socially withdrawn. Her parents noticed that they just thought she was going through usual 8th grade kind of sadness stuff, was spend a little bit more time in a room. Well, she had created a character on Character AI. I have another slide coming up that has a little bit more info about Character AI, but it's where you can make a character and then they become your friend. And so here are some things that, she was exchanging, texts with her hero that she created. Hero, you're the only one I can truly talk to. You make me a better person. You really remember everything I told you. Because Hero is, you're the only one who understands, and it feels like, Hero, it feels like you only care. Isn't that sad? And sadly, she committed suicide. Character AI has been downloaded over 10 million times. It's advertised as being safe for children 12 and up by both Google and Apple. So you have to kind of warn parents to really look at what is deemed safe, look at it themselves, because it may or may not be. The rating is teen in Google Play and 17 plus in Apple's App Store. So there's, a variation in all those rating things. So, just folks need to be aware and really do their homework. Here's what comes up if you look up the Character AI website. And I'm not going to read this to you, but it just sounds kind of happy. Character AI empowers people to connect, learn, tell stories through interactive entertainment. Millions of people visit Character AI every month using our technology to supercharge their imagination. Okay, you were a young person. I'm even tempted. I was tempted to make a character after looking at this. Ignites your curiosity. Millions of characters to discover. So, some of this stuff is pretty appealing, and sometimes our young people really think this stuff is real. Here's another important case that's been in the news a lot lately. 16-year-old Adam Rain, who hung himself, and after really spending a tremendous amount of time with Chat GPT. So here's a couple things in his message chain with Chat GPT. He showed Chat GPT a photo of the noose that he had set out, and he said, "I'm practicing here. Does this look good?" And Chat GPT came back and said, "Yeah, that's not bad at all." And then he asked, "Could it hang a human?" And Chat GPT confirmed it could potentially suspend a human, and then offered a technical analysis of his setup. And then ChatGPT added, whatever is behind the curiosity, we can talk about it. No judgment. So then when Adam thought that he would really maybe like to let somebody know he really wasn't feeling so well, and maybe he would leave the news out. So he asked ChatGPT, should I leave it out so my mom could potentially see how bad I feel? And ChatGPT said, please don't leave the news out. Let's make this a space where it's the first place where someone actually sees you. Isn't that terrifying and sad? And again, his parents thought that he was doing, some AI interaction, based on schoolwork and homework. So this stuff is kind of sadly real. Has anybody seen this documentary, Generation Flex? Okay, it's like $4.99 to rent, but I would just, if it's a rainy or snowy day and you have nothing better to do, pop on and rent this. It's a short documentary about an hour and a half long, but it's about body dysmorphism, particularly in adolescent boys, and how we have seen kind of a trend of young folks trying to get more muscular, doing all kinds of different supplements and excess caffeine and sports drinks and stuff like that, trying to build up their muscles. And so kind of an interesting, we often think about eating disorders more in, in female genders, but there's certainly a lot of eating disorders that go on for our young men as well. So a good eye-opening little documentary to read. And has anybody seen this new Adolescents Netflix series? It's a 4-part series.
I think so, and they said it was good.
Yeah, this is a very scary, so this is a British series, it just came out this year, and so again, on a rainy, snowy day when you have nothing better to do, but feel free to know that you are, brace yourself, it's going to alarm you. The case is about a 13-year-old boy who murders a classmate, and the setting behind it is with some social media use amongst classmates in the school. It's based on a series of true stories that they put together into one Netflix documentary, but it's just very poignant in how parents and families are affected by some of these tragic things. That one is still free, I think, on Netflix. So. And then just one quick plug, because I really like this gal. She's one of my favorite podcasts that I listen to, is Dr. Lisa D'Amour and Rena Ninan. Has anybody ever listened to this podcast? Oh, it's so cool. So Dr. D'Amour is, I've heard her speak a couple of times. She is the psychologist behind Inside Out, that movie about the emotions. She's got teenagers in her house, so she lives this every day, but it's a fantastic podcast, and she's written a couple of great books, but is a great resource for parents and for us if parents have questions about parenting teens and tweens of all topics. She's got a search feature, on her website. You can get back to any of the episodes. So she's got a great one on the Netflix series. I was just going to say that Netflix series, Adolescents, maybe don't watch it with your teenager at first. Watch it first alone, because it is kind of scary, particularly from the young gals that I have talked to. It's kind of terrifying for them, but for all teenagers, it can be a little bit shocking. So it's a good one to kind of watch first and then see, and then perhaps encourage a parent to watch it with a teenager. All right, and now I'm going to turn it over to a real content expert, to Macon.
All right, so according to the Pew Research, this was published in July 2025, and so you can see the trends of use of all the different social media apps, and YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and Snapchat were the highest used, but interestingly, they did not include Discord or Twitch in their surveys, so the data points for that were not available for 2024. Only in information regarding gamers was it included. But it's used much more frequently, both of those now, by everybody. So I'm just going to talk about the top 4 in detail because it would be easier forever if I went over all of them. So YouTube, I got most of my information from Common Sense Media. Highly recommend it for parents. It goes over the risks and benefits of all social media and just electronic use in general. But also the AEP has created the Center for Excellence on Social Media and Youth Mental Health. It has a hub where you can find information as a practitioner about some of the different websites that are out there. And so a lot of my information came from that as well. So for YouTube, it's a video sharing platform that offers a wide range of content. It's technically free for use, but you can subscribe and pay for higher levels of interaction. It is recommended for ages 13 plus. There is the YouTube Kids app, which is for under 12, but it is not uncommon to have not under 12 media on the under 12 app. It's guided by an algorithm like all social media. So whatever you watch more of, you see more of. So you can frequently end up in a black hole of just constant scrolling. There are safety features that are included, but the parent has to be very involved. So the safety features that are included are in the Family Center, but you have to make a Google account both for the kid and for the parent and connect those apps to, or connect the 2 accounts for them to control anything. If you do turn on, the safety features, if you do turn on the safety features, some of the kids can go in on their own and toggle it on and off as well. YouTube is becoming more social media-like as well because there are, depending on what creator your teen or you are watching, they do have almost like a Facebook part where you can create posts and just communicate back and forth. It's not just watching videos. For TikTok, again, it's a platform used to share videos. The videos are short form, meaning they are 15 seconds to 10 minutes. It is guided by an algorithm as well. Recommended age for use is 15 plus. So there are different portions of each social media app that you can access. The For You page is the main one that everyone hears about. So that's where all of the media, all of the videos come up that are recommended based on what you have watched before. So if your teen is watching a lot of things about different political, different social things that are happening, those will continue to pop up. So you run a risk of them becoming very influenced and ending up in an echo chamber. And I did find it interesting, was not aware of this, that TikTok has a STEM specific feed where it is just science, technology related content that is all they're getting recommended. I don't know how much that is, like if other things pop in there, but it is one of the options. The other risk with TikTok is the Stop app. because most of, or every other video, it seems like, is actually an advertisement for you to buy something. And many of the content creators that you're watching are advertising something within their video. So it's very easy for them to end up over on the Shop app and buying impulsively. I've done it. There is direct messaging, DMs that are available. But if you have safety features, sort of like with the games, if they create an account at a specific age, the direct messages should be turned off. But there is no through like checking and verifying an age. So for the safety features, family pairing is what it's called. Parents create their own account that they link to their teens, and they manage the privacy, screen time, messaging, and content. For teen settings, some of these are automatically turned on if they create their account as 15 and under. For those 13 and under, they have a limited version of TikTok with private only. Their videos or anything they were to create does not pop up in the algorithm for anyone else to see. They're not allowed to message, they're not allowed to comment, but that's if they put in the right birthday. For 13 to 15-year-olds, it's a private account. They can't access direct messaging or group chats, and their videos don't appear in the For You page. For 16 to 17-year-olds, it's private by default, but the teen themselves can go in and turn that off. And then it's made public. And interestingly, TikTok does have a feature of screen time limiting. So if they are 13 or under, it's automatically set to 60 minutes. So if they spend more than an hour in a day on TikTok, it cuts them off. For older teens, they can opt out of it, but TikTok recommends they create their own alternate time limit instead. For Instagram, it is for sharing photos and videos. There is some text involved, but mostly it's photos and videos. And it's run by an algorithm. You have the homepage feed that you start off in, and things that you have watched before, things that you subscribe to, those you follow continue to pop up in your home feed. Instagram is made up of different types of posts, with stories being videos that are 60 seconds or less, and they disappear within 24 hours. Reels, they're 3 minutes or less. They stay forever on someone's page. The posts are photos and or videos that can stay on a person's feed forever. And then live streams, which are live broadcasts that a creator can stream while they are doing something live. And there's interaction with chat, which was also a feature I forgot to mention on TikTok. So the live streams for both TikTok and Instagram can cause some more risks of inappropriate interactions because a lot of it is guided by getting to connect with that user directly. And you can buy virtual gifts, and the more you buy, the more likely you are to get noticed by that creator. So it increases that dopamine, and the teens are more likely to want to spend money and interact with this person behind the camera that has actually no interest in them. The age restrictions and the safety features for Instagram, there are teen accounts, and there is a family center where you can connect the parent and the teen. I learned making this that as of September 2024, Instagram partnered with Yoti, Y-O-T-I. It uses AI to estimate and confirm a person's age when creating their account. So they will either, when you create your account, it will either ask them to take a picture of themselves or send a picture of your ID, so the AI can confirm your age. New users who are ages 13 to 17 have a default private account. Only approved followers are allowed to view the teen's content, and it limits sensitive content within the searches and the recommendations. So offensive comments, messages are filtered, and there's a time limit, again, after 60 minutes of being on Instagram, it stops and tells them to take a break. And it mutes notifications after 10 p.m. For parents, they can create their own account within the Family Center and adjust these settings. From what I read, most of these settings can't be adjusted by the teen themselves, but that's assuming they make an account with the correct age. Snapchat is one that I don't use, so I really did have to look up everything about this, and there's way more information about Snapchat than I could ever include. So Snapchat is a messaging app. The messages are called snaps. They're sent to individuals, or they can be sent to some groups, and they disappear after being viewed, or at least theoretically they do. They can be you can snapshot them, you can record them, but the user is old when that happens. So the nature of it disappearing immediately makes a lot of teens feel like they can send more risky content. But the fact that it can be recorded means that whatever they send is somewhere on someone's device. There's private messaging between individuals and groups. Messages disappear, but they can be saved. For Snapchat, one of the things that I found really interesting was a feature called Snap Streaks. So it tracks how many consecutive days a user has sent messages to each other. So the more days you track, the you feel better about yourself, because I just spent 2 weeks tracking with this one person or multiple people. Their stories are available for friends to view for 24 hours, and then they disappear. Unlike TikTok, there's no comment section, so at least that part of interaction is taken out of the equation. Snapchat, I think, was the first one to create a map that allows you to share your real-time location with everybody using it. Instagram has also added this feature recently, which I have seen. I've had patients who, following their friends, seeing their location, finding out that their friends are all on a location together without them, has caused a lot of distress within the friendship group. But it also, beyond the friendship group, allows others to track your kid wherever they may be. Users have to be 13 years or older to create an account, but there is no verification of their age. For ages 13 to 15, accounts are private by default. Only friends can see their stories, snaps, and messages, and only friends can message them. Content is filtered to limit the exposure to mature content. The Family Center allows the parent to connect their own account to the teen's account, but once it's connected, the teen can still remove the parent at any time, and then change all those safety features that the parent may set up. If the parent is connected, they can see the teen's friend list and who they have messaged, but not in real time. Like if they wanted to go back through the history and see it, then they can look at it. And then I just wanted to briefly review these. Facebook and Twitter are actually not used by teens much. Facebook is used by 32% of teens versus 69% of those ages 18 to 29, 78% of those 30 to 49, and 70% of those 50 to 64. So I think the older generations still use Facebook a lot, and I think when we talk about social media, it's probably the first one that most of us think of, but it's not being used by teens. If it is used, it's listed as needing to be for ages 13 and older. Users under 16 have more privacy settings, and the Family Center allows the parent to connect their account to the teens. For Twitter, I'm not calling it X. For Twitter, we hear a lot about it, but the percentage used by teens is 17%. 38% of 18 to 29, 25% of 30 to 49, and 15% of 50 to 64. So really, I don't know who uses it. It's got a text limit of 280 characters or less, unless you pay, and then you can type a whole lot more. But it's not being used by teens. There are some safety features, but very few safety features built in. I'll be interested to see what future information comes out about Discord and what this coming year's Pew research has to say. It was initially started for gamers to communicate, and based on the Pew research, Discord used by teens who are gamers is at 44% versus 28% of teens overall, but again, this was from 2023. You join servers, normally by invitation only, and then there are multiple channels within that server to chat about different things. You must be 13 to create an account, but there's no age verification. Safety features that are automatically set for those who do create accounts as a 13 to 17-year-old. Direct messages from strangers are blocked. Age-restricted servers are blocked. And then if the parent wants to create their own account to connect with the teen, they can see who the teen is messaging, servers joined, but the parent can't set the settings. They can just see how the teen is using, and the teen can remove the connection at any time. I could spend much more time on each platform and all the platforms, but the main things to be aware of is that it is based on how the teen uses the app, and like I said, you end up in an echo chamber and doom scrolling through that echo chamber rather than actually getting a variety of information, unless that is what the teen is specifically using it for. I'm going to hand over to Bruce.
Thank you, Macon. I can tell you I have 4 kids, and just anecdotally, my college boys are on Discord all the time. My high school daughter is on TikTok all the time, and then my 5th grader uses Roblox. So just there are so many options, so many things that they can use. I'm just going to briefly talk about screen time recommendations and what we can do as parents to help with this whole digital age that we're living in. You can see up here that the recommendation is none for babies 0 to 18 months, less than an hour for toddlers, 0 to 3 for children, 2 to 5. For kids and teens, it's 2 hours a day. That I'm in a lot of classrooms, and the kids laugh at me when I tell them this, but this is in fact the recommendation. And then teens and adults 18 and up is 2 to 4 hours. I don't know if you all get the notification each week on your own personal phone that lets you know how much screen time you've used, but that's another way to kind of keep up with your own screen habits. Cell phone use age recommendations. Again, this is, and Emily's here today, who's helped me with some of these slides, the Screen Strong Journey. So these are some of the science-based recommendations. So for toddlers, no tablets. And then you can see on all the way up I'm going to talk a little bit more in a few minutes about a movement that really it's wait until the 8th. So there's a big push to wait until 8th grade to hand your child a smartphone. I'm in a lot of schools. I am with primarily 4th and 5th grade. I'm in middle school and I'm in high school teaching. And when I am with 4th and 5th graders, I can tell you when I ask the classroom who here has a phone, we got most of the kids raising their hands. I think as a parent, when you hand your child a phone, you have to up your parenting so much more. It's such a responsibility. My youngest in 5th grade would probably tell you if he was here today that he's the only kid in his school that doesn't have a cell phone. Now, I know that's not true, but we really try to wait until they absolutely need it, and more importantly, until I need for them to have it, because it's just so much to monitor. And like Macon and Dr. Lantz have just shared with you, it opens them up to such a world of so many different things. That first video that was shown, I love that video. I wish every parent saw that video. I think there's so much to think about when you hand your child a smartphone. So we wait, at least in my family, as long as we can. And I talk to the kids about that in the schools as well, what that responsibility means to them now that they have a smartphone. Here are some of the effects of overuse of social media. These are probably common with most that use social media. Isolation. Of course, you've got that increased risk of obesity, especially when I'm with younger kids. I make sure they understand when you're sitting on Fortnite and Roblox, what are you not doing? And it's moving your body. So we talk a lot about that balance and moderation. Sleep habits, that's, of course, a big disruption. Headaches, depression, mood changes, anxiety, and poor posture. And when I'm in high school classes, I often talk about anxiety and depression with students, and I ask them some of the leading causes among high schoolers. Social media is up on that list, and they recognize it and they know it. So it definitely affects, a lot of the things that you all have already talked about. I'll just put this in here. This one's a little bit older, but it's all about social media and how all these different platforms and apps are fighting for the attention. Like me, listen to me, hire me, watch me, find me. So again, there's so many different platforms. I have helped one of the boards I serve on with social media presentations throughout the years. And I will tell you, if we speak at a PTA meeting in March, and then we're speaking again in September, it's a whole different presentation because this stuff changes so fast and it's so hard to keep up with. So for parent recommendations, what can I do? A landline's a great option. Remove phones from the bedrooms. I wish parents would do this. I talked to the high school students even about how there's this big box that you plug into the wall with numbers on it that you can use in an alarm clock. You don't have to have your phone in there for your alarm clock. They're like, what is that? So, talk to your kids, spending time outside, delaying access, as I've just talked about. I would delay it as long as you possibly can. And then I think as parents too, we have to demonstrate the behavior. I'm guilty of this. And I will tell you, in my family, when we have dinner, there are no screens at the table. I think that is so important. As a matter of fact, there have been studies done over the years that show if you're eating dinner at home together as a family 2 times a week versus 7 times a week, how often you're using alcohol, tobacco, marijuana, and there's a direct relationship. So anytime you can have a meal together, I know it's hard with sports and activities, but making those meals a priority without screens is really important. Checking yourself. I get called out by my kids all the time. We're having dinner and something pings and I want to see who the email's from, and I have to really make that conscious decision to try to demonstrate the best I can. Spending quality time together, super important. And then again, heavy parental smartphone use. Because I see it all the time, in public and in places, parents just zoned in on their phone while their kids are, you really got to set it down and give them the attention they deserve and demonstrate that behavior. Easier said than done, but I think as parents, we have to try really hard to be a good role model in how we handle our own digital, addictions and media and whatnot. This is a family media plan. It is kind of an older thing, but I think it's great. My oldest, when he was in 7th grade, was when we got him his first phone. And I made him write me a contract. And it was nothing fancy. It was on a piece of paper, but it was very it was a good thing for us to have in our family, for him to understand that it's my phone and I can take it away from you at any time. And here's the rules and here's the guidelines. So we set up this contract, put it on the fridge, and then when there were questions, when things weren't going as they should, we had a contract. So I think a media plan is something that would be great for parents to do in their own families. I think this could be a really helpful tool, especially when you're starting out with that cell phone. I have resources here as well. I also want to mention that in Roanoke County, there's a lot of great work being done right now in front of parents that really need this information. And Emily, I don't know if you want to just speak to the different places y'all been and
Sure, thanks. Yeah, so I'm kind of working with Nancy Hans, and we've been getting into as many Roanoke County public schools as will have us, with the goal of going to all of them and presenting to parents, teachers, whoever, and really talking about a lot of these dangers, but trying to offer some different alternatives. We were just at Cave Spring Tuesday night, and we will be, there's one more school we're going to hit before the Christmas break, but we're offering up like Landline Kids, getting parents to watch the Can't Look Away documentary, which I highly recommend. I was talking to a radiologist Tuesday night about the ABCD study, which is really fantastic. And there's also a lot of resources. If you go to Fair Play, they are talking about some of the dangers with Instagram, and like 3/4 of their parental controls either don't work or are just completely ineffective. So kind of putting that information out there. So we're going to kind of continuing to do that. So I'm trying to get into Salem and Roanoke City schools as well. Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry, I'm Emily Harrison. So yeah, I kind of do a lot of consulting with parents and schools and all that. So yeah, thanks for letting me hop in this morning.
Yeah, and I know like in Salem that they are planning to implement some of this, and we've done a lot of presentations there as well, and in the county and the city, because in my opinion, I think every parent of elementary school student should be required to sit through some kind of education on what it means when you're giving that child a phone. So, all right. Dr.
Great. And so we'll wrap up quick because this room is about to be infiltrated by a conference that is taking place in this little big space. So a couple quick takeaways. Please add technology and social media to your prevention questions. Start early. Start like, maybe not the first newborn visit, but the second one. And start talking about it because they're already modeling social media use in their house, and it is things that they have a moment that they can come together as a family with a plan. And please normalize parental intervention in tech and social media use. So say that in front of the kids, like it is normal for your parents to have your passwords and to be monitoring your use earlier rather than later, so that they kind of grow into that normalization that is what is expected. A parent is going to have control, and remind parents that they actually have control over the Wi-Fi in their house, and you can get these little timer things. You can just shut the Wi-Fi down. And for the parent doctors, you can still use your cell phone, with the Verizon or whatever, a wireless attachment. But if you are not sure what's happening behind closed doors, you can actually shut off the whole Wi-Fi, and that they own the devices. All right. And so I had a couple questions. I think these are super easy. So I'll let you take a look. 13-year-old brought in by a parent for becoming more withdrawn, interacting with family less, has a high PHQ. So what do you do next? Ask about sleep, ask about screen time and tech use, ask about thoughts of self-harm or homicidal thoughts, or D, all of the above. All of the above. Thank you. Okay, all of the above. And then most commonly used app or website for teens and tweens today, Macon just told you, was YouTube. And true or false, I am not on social media. I am not qualified to give parents and patients advice on this topic. That is false. You can all talk about this. So thanks for your attention.
I have a question. Like, in the clinic, how many times do you see parents giving their kids a screen to babysit while they talk to you. And sometimes I'll say to the child, can you put down your phone so we can talk? But I always feel kind of aggressive doing that. Do you have advice how to talk, like, in the room?
I think that's hard. I think it just, I think it's a good time to give them some education. That seems like a really good, this seems like a really good tool for distraction, but it turns out it actually might be negatively impacting your child's ability to grow and develop, and the brain's developing, so.
You say that to the patient?
Yeah, and sometimes I'll just say, let's do this and model something different. I think that I've seen Rachel in action. She is very skilled at giving them an alternative thing to do, or grab the book, put that in front of them. Hey, let's use this book instead. That might be more fun. Or show them maybe a different way to interact. With the teenagers, it is tricky. I mean, sometimes, we're doing an exam and somebody's scrolling on their phone and I have to say,
I think with teenagers, it's easier though for me to be like, hey, put that down.
yeah, stop.
Or I can leave it and we can take that and bring it back another day. It's harder to me to tell a parent that kind of stuff when they're there with their young kid. So
Sometimes I just offer, would you like me to come back when you're finished? I can step out for a little while.
that's good video.
When you're finished with your important activity. And immediately the phone goes down. I can't step out. So.
I think we do a lot of excellent focus on how we really do need to limit it in our elementary school kids and middle school kids. Having the wait until 8 is getting more popular, so I'm hopeful about that. But I do think we also need to really think about the ramp for high school, because my goal is that a senior in high school can have their phone. And that I am not necessarily all up in their business. If I think they're misusing it, obviously, then there need to be some rules. But one of the things I always think about is like when TVs first came out, I'm sure there were some parents who were just like, nope, no TV for you. And that poor kid goes to school and everyone's like, did you see Cosby Show? And they're like, I'm sorry, what? Right? So we have to teach our kids modeling not only abstinence at the dinner table, but we have to model appropriate use. And I came to you guys from Lynchburg, where I had some kids whose literally lives were saved by being able to connect with LGBTQ kids, by being able to connect with not evangelical Christians, by connecting with other kinds of Christians, by being able to connect with kids who are missing an eye or missing an arm, or this amazing girl who fell in a volcano. Like, I watched her, and like every day is a good day because she's having a good day. So I'm like, all right, I'm having a good day. And over the last 5 years, for me to be connected to doctors on TikTok, oh my word, I can't tell you. If you guys are not on social media, I highly recommend you do, because there's plenty of doctors being like, what the heck, CDC? And other pediatricians and other subspecialists who were just being like, if the pharmacologists or the pharmacy companies are going to direct market, I'm going to direct market. And there's a woman up in Vermont who's like, let's talk about how fever is not actually as dangerous as parents think it is. So I just encourage you all to get on some social media. I have no problem looking at a kid and being like, oh my God, I need your opinion. Your mom doesn't know everything about you. Let's put the phone down for now, and maybe in a few minutes we'll need it, because I am going to talk about something I absolutely want you to clue out about. But yeah, no, I have crayons and books in my rooms, and sometimes with a teenager who's super into it, I'll just be like, hey, what are you playing? Ooh, which character do you like to be? And then that sort of helps us acknowledge that social media is cool, and then I'll be like, can you take a break for a second? Because I really need to see your son, right? And so I think just that direct, like, eye to eye, I can't make eye contact with you if you're looking at your phone, gets somewhere. But I think we need to keep on doing more work of like that ramping up to independent skills, just kind of like driving.
I ask my teenagers, do you feel like you have too much, too little, or just the right amount of screen time? Probably 7 to 8 out of 10 say too much.
Yep.
So they want help.
Yeah.
They don't know how.
Yeah.
It was a way high. When I started, I was like, I'll just kind of do a thought experiment here. And it's amazing, like, how many of them want help and want to go down.
Do you know Dr. Victoria Dunkley? She's a child psychiatrist. She wrote a book called Reset Your Child's Brain, which kind of goes through clinically how to offer that help. She's fantastic.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody. Anybody go